It's the MythWits, a geek pop culture web series, broadcast live for video and audio podcasts. Watch us live at MythWits.com and find us on YouTube and iTunes, bringing you news and reviews about geek pop culture. We have comedy skits, play nerd-tastic games, and provide extensive on-location con coverage. And now, your hosts.
Hello, and may the 4th be with you! I am your host, Peter Bryant, and it's time for another exciting, wonderful, entertaining episode of the MythWits. Before we go any further, this show is not safe for work. Joining me this evening...
Hey, Pete.
Yeah, what's up, Mike?
Is this show safe for Darth Blix?
Oh, I think it is, Mike.
Oh, God, not Darth Blix again.
I'm required to ask you one more time. Is this show safe for Darth Blix?
No, nothing's safe for Darth. Ever.
Nothing.
But he will be here.
But he will be here. It just
Yeah.
will be unsafe.
That is true. All right.
Lock up your droids. All right, Pete, who do we have? What's going on tonight? I don't know. I'm all amidst.
That is my co-host, Michael Kafis. Joining us as well tonight is Brian Olvera with the news. And Allegra will pop back in the room at any moment. She was here, and somehow the force was not with her. It gave her a little push out of the room. But
Yeah, we promise you, she was actually here this week.
She really was. I swear. She's a real person. She's a person. Allegra lives matter. All right, so anyway, joining us tonight is a very special guest, a guy who's done a lot of work on games that I have enjoyed, Mr. Stephen S. Long. He is a writer and game designer who's been working primarily in the tabletop role-playing game field for the past 20 years. During that time, he's written or co-written nearly 200 books, and that's a lot of books. He's best known for his work with Champions and the Hero System, but has worked for many other RPG companies, including Last Unicorn Games, Pinnacle Entertainment Group, Decipher, and White Wolf. In recent years, he's branched out into fiction writing as well, and his first major work of nonfiction, a book on the Norse god Odin for Osprey Publishing, is scheduled for release May 2015. Hey, that's now. His master plan for World Domination has reached stage 67 alpha. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Glad to have you on here.
Glad to be here.
Big fan, man. Dude, I played Champions, I think, God, I'm trying to remember. It was either 82 or 83. It was either the year it came out or the year right after that. It was before I was in high school, so it had to have been before 84. And I think we played it like a year or two. So I might have played it right when it came out. Now, I know you weren't working on it at that time, but I think I was doing a little research on you. Hope you don't mind. Hope it's not too creepy. But
Stalker.
It stated that you started playing Champions about the same time.
Yeah, I started in 82 when the guy in the local science fiction club got a copy because, back then there was no internet and the idea of mail ordering a game was the furthest thing from my mind. If they didn't have it at the local hobby shop, that was that.
Right, yeah. Hey, this game doesn't exist. So that's awesome. So let me guess. Hold on. So that you gotta be. Now I don't know how old you are, so I'm gonna take a guess. You gotta be somewhere around 45-ish.
I'm turning 50 later this year.
Okay, well that's close.
He was an ageless.
He's ageless. He has drank from the fountain. So that's cool. So then how long have you been gaming? When did you start?
I started gaming in about 81, I want to say. It would have been 9th grade, 8th or 9th grade.
Right.
With, of course, the first edition D&D. I started with actually the blue cover J. Eric Holmes edition of basic D&D, and then quickly progressed to AD&D and played that for a long, long, long time, and then discovered Champions, and my gaming group shifted to that almost entirely and never looked back.
Yeah, we played. Oh my God, we played a lot of Champions in the early days. And then I tried a couple other superhero games, but none of them ever rang really that close to me as Champions. I thought Champions was kind of got it. They kind of got it really right. The only other game I've ever played that's superhero that I would even say is somewhere in the ballpark as Mutants and Masterminds, but I'm not a big fan of D20 stuff. So that's kind of like one slight against it. But I do like some of the stuff that they did. But anyway, so you've done oh my God, you've done a lot of stuff with Champions from what I've seen in Hero Games, and in fact, you became one of the owners.
I did. As you know, the joke used to be, I liked it so much I bought the company.
And you're not. I mean, you actually you're a full-time game designer now, but
pretty much I don't work full-time for the company anymore because we've shifted our production model in a way that doesn't require a full-time writer designer on staff. But yeah, I pretty much write and design games and write other things full-time. I just sort of poke around with whatever projects seem most interesting or most profitable, at any given time, and
that's a terrible thing to have to do. I mean,
yeah, it really is. It beats working all home.
Oh God, that interests me. I think I'll work on that.
Yeah.
But you used to be a lawyer.
I did. I quit practicing law. It'll be 18 years ago this July.
Wow. Okay, so how long did you practice law?
Well, let's see. After I graduated law school, I clerked for a federal judge for 2 years, and then I practiced privately, I guess, for 4 years. 2 years for one firm and 2 years for another firm.
Right.
During which time I was writing gaming supplements in the evenings in spare time for fun.
And I imagine that has had to have helped you with your career in the gaming industry, because I mean, it's like, a lot of us, like when I design something, I'm like, I hope this isn't like kind of infringement anywhere. I wonder what the rights are on this. I would imagine that you have a little bit of a leg up on knowing the laws around that kind of stuff.
In some senses, it certainly helped, like drafting contracts for Hero or reviewing contracts for myself. Where it really helped, though, actually, is teaching me to write. The thing that most helped me learn to write is the summer of my second year of law school, I went out to Phoenix, Arizona, and worked for a large firm out there as what's called a summer associate. And this particular firm understood something that most law firms never quite get. And that is that a lawyer's job, no matter what kind of law he practices, is first and foremost is to communicate with people in writing.
Right.
And so they really emphasized writing, so much so that for the summer associates, people who weren't even full-time employees of the firm yet, they had a program where everything I wrote was reviewed by 3 attorneys. One was the attorney I wrote it for.
Mm-hmm.
One was an attorney at the firm who knew nothing about the case. And one was a former attorney with the firm who was at the time a law professor at Brigham Young University, whom they flew all the way in from Salt Lake City once a week just to review the summer associates' writing.
Oh my
and
God.
a month of that, literally of having everything I wrote scrutinized, criticized, and put through the ringer and shown, this could be better this way. Well, and I mean, it was like turning lead into gold. All of a sudden it unlocked whatever it is in me that makes me a good writer, and I just have never looked back.
Cool.
Yeah, Pete, I don't know. I'm a little skeptical. I don't know if I'd want to play a game with Steve, because he might really be a real rules lawyer.
Go there. Nice.
I did it. I got it out of the way. You knew it was going to happen, Steve. It's done.
Yeah.
Move it to the side.
The truth is, I try not to be. As long as everybody's having fun, I don't care. Unless you ask me a question about the rules, I am not likely to pipe up and say anything.
Jeez, Mike.
It's all about having fun. If you're having fun, doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Mike is just pulling your chain. All right, so
hey, it was there. If there's a chain in front of me,
hung that chain right out there. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about Hero Games. But first, I want to hit something. We played. So, like I said, we've played a couple of the things that you've written for. We played a bunch of Star Trek with the lug rules, and oh my God, we had a lot of fun with that, and we really appreciate it. And my gaming group wanted to thank you personally. They said, "Oh, you're going to be interviewing Steve Long." They're like, "Thank him for his work on Space Dock, because it helped it helped smooth everything along, and we helped our games be much more exciting and I don't know, much more fun. So
You're quite welcome.
shout out.
I hate that, unfortunately, the internal politics that Paramount hit us in such a way that we never got to publish that book. But I'm grateful to Wizards that they were able to give it back to me and that I can give it away free online, because there are lots of little subsets of Star Trek fandom, as you well know, and one of them is Starship fans, and that's the set I really fall into. And so getting to write a book specifically about starships, and then all the little ship identification books I wrote, was a real dream come true in many ways.
Yeah, we ran, oh man, it was like a 1.5-year campaign, and we did, have you ever heard of Obsidian Portal?
I've heard of them, yeah.
Okay, so it's basically an online gaming group resource, and you can put in your keys, and you can write logs for each one of the characters. You can go in and put in your logs for that week and stuff. So we did that, and we were very active. We filled that thing up with all kinds of information, and every week each one of us did logs, and we wrote them. Basically, it was like our characters' personal logs, and it was funny because if you go through and you read from week to week, we each wrote it with our character's voice from his perspective, and like you could tell who thought they were the hero, and sometimes we do it on purpose. Like I would write because my character thought he was the hero of the story, and that was just funny. So we actually almost won Site of the Year for that because of all the work that we put into it. Sweet. So that was pretty cool. We got a pretty good use out of that. It was a lot of fun. But we were playing the villains, so that was an interesting take. We didn't play Star Trek heroes.
I think the great thing about the Star Trek setting is it's so vast, you can really do anything.
Right.
People tend to have this very narrow view of it, but the fact is, it's enormous. There's 700 hours of material, and there are so many things that are just hinted at, just enough to let you take it and run.
Right.
And I'm really sorry. Another 2 or 3 years of being able to publish products, and we would have had a game line that would have really gone down in history as one of the greats, because we had so many great ideas that were literally finished and ready to go and just died because of the whole nonsense with Paramount. Just
they're game warriors.
Oh no.
No, I got you. Yeah, that is terrible. But I just wanted to finish that one thought that because I generally have a rule about not talking about characters. I was actually kind of going with that being that we played these characters from a different aspect, we were able to use Space Dock to make our ships, which was very handy because a lot of times in a game you have ships to pick from and that's it. And if the ship doesn't exist in the game, and you don't generally have, a lot of times you don't have the engine to build your own ships.
Yeah.
With that, we were able to do that because we weren't flying around in Federation or Klingon ships. We had our own. We were like in a whole other part of the galaxy doing our own thing. So that was. I generally have a rule about
an NPC.
What's that?
The ship sort of becomes an NPC. It becomes an important character, sort of in and of itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So, so then. Now, I got really excited because I saw you work for Pinnacle Entertainment Group, and I was like, oh, I wonder if you worked on Millennium.
I freelanced for them. I never worked for them directly.
Okay. But then I looked it up, and I was like, oh, it was just, damn it, now I'm blanking. What did you do for them?
I wrote a bunch of Deadlands books and one Hell on Earth book.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I said Pinnacle, didn't I?
Yes.
Okay, that's right. I was thinking of somebody else. I'm sorry. Was it another company you worked for?
Well, I've written for a bunch of companies. I've written a bunch of stuff for White Wolf.
The Babylon 5 supplement that you did.
I did one bit of. It was the Babylon 5 supplement during the brief period of time in which Chameleon Eclectic had the license to do a Babylon 5 role-playing game that pretty much died on the vine for various reasons. But I did get to write one bit of one supplement.
Okay, all right, yeah, because I saw that and I was like, oh, we used to play Millennium Zend. I was like, this guy's worked on everything, but then I was like, oh, no, I didn't. So, but Pinnacle, I do a bunch of Savage World stuff now too, so that's pretty cool.
Hey, I'm wondering, Steve would be a good person to play the game that I've played with you before. I don't know what we call it. Sort of name that production house.
It would be, yeah. We have a game where we basically Mike will name like a game, and you have to name who produced, or vice versa. He'll name like a company. Say, what game were they most popular, or what's their most popular game? That's cool. Yeah. So so working for Hero Games originally, and then transitioning to owning Hero Games, what has been your like I don't know like your most tough time in doing that? Like what has been your I don't know like the hardest thing to get through doing that?
Well, I don't know. That's hard to say. There wasn't too much about it that was tough because I loved it. Being Hero System line developer was really, I mean, that was my dream job.
Right.
I suppose if there was any one really tough time, it was right after we released the 5th edition rule book in, this would have been April 2nd, 2002, because we had initially put it down as April 1, and we realized we got to change that date. People will think it's a joke.
This book?
Yeah, that book, that very one. And, thinking that finally, I have answered so many of the questions that have bugged so many Hero System players for many years, and I had, but then they came up with all new ones, and for a period of about 3 or 4 weeks there, I was spending 2, 3, 4, in one case, 6 hours a day online answering questions.
Wow.
Because the one thing I had promised when we bought the Hero Games assets and I took over as line developer was that I was going to provide rules answers. The original owners of the company back when the internet started, had a policy of generally not answering questions, and they had very good reasons for that. But I felt that it was important to provide answers, and so I did. And it took hours and hours, and eventually that died down. But for a while there, that pretty much sucked up my entire working day.
Right. And I imagine it's got to be difficult, especially for like a superhero game, because you're talking about a game where you pretty much make all the powers, and you can make your character any way, and then so it can be interpreted so many ways, especially like when you read comic books, and it seems like they don't play by those rules, and movies they don't play by them or need to have. It's like, oh, this character can do this now, and this superhero can do that with his power, but then next episode, nah, they can't do that. Whereas you don't have that luxury. You have to,
So that's one of the differences between gaming and fiction or movies or comic books is that gaming typically, or at least certainly older school gaming, if you will, quantifies things. And once you quantify things, that establishes limits on what you can and cannot do.
Right.
In the comics, you can have Spider-Man beat up Fire-Lord. On paper, in no version of the Marvel Superheroes game has that ever been possible. Now, of course, there are games where by spending your hero points or what have you, there are ways you can do that. But the fact is that to some degree or another, games have to quantify things. That's why there's never been a good game that models car chases, because car chases are dynamic, and games have to have somebody go first and somebody go second.
Right.
And that affects the way the chase happens.
Everybody's got to have a turn, right?
Yeah.
All right. So
there are ways around it. We've integrated rules into the system that have helped with some of that, like the power skill. I know a lot of the rule of thumb that a lot of Champions players tend to use when modeling characters from movies and comics is if you see a character do something 3 or more times, it needs to be written down on his character sheet. Up until then, it's just a power stunt of some kind that he's doing with a skill roll or a power pool, and he doesn't have to write it down.
Okay.
That's the guideline. But the subset of fans who like to write up precise descriptions of existing characters has its own sort of guidelines and metrics.
I was just wanted to say something. I was thinking about what you were just saying about it's hard to role play and do rules for car chases, and I've always thought that a card system, aspect of that would be a good way to solve that.
It's funny you should mention that, because I am working on a product called Car Chase Cards right now that I've had in mind for several months, where I'm trying to do just that, where by slapping the cards down quickly, the idea is to try to get a dynamic feel to a car chase, and I hope to get it in place and launch a Kickstarter sometime this year. Whether it will succeed, I don't know, because unfortunately, for those of us who love them, modern-day action-adventure games are not, really, really popular, and unfortunately, there are not a lot of car chases in D&D. So...
I don't know the version of D&D we play sometimes there is, but
Right.
Horseback chase, maybe?
well, and what gave me the idea, believe it or not, is like the guys from Slugfest Games, like the same exact way of choreographing the fight, the way you do their card game for fighting. I could see that translating very well. So it's not like we're like, I mean, it in some aspects it's reinventing the wheel, but I think it can be done the right way, and I think you're the guy to do it. So
there's nothing really new under the sun.
And I will also back your Kickstarter. So you just let me know.
I will keep posted. Yeah, they're really it's hard to be truly original after 6,000 or 10,000 years of human creativity.
Yes.
Right. Right. Yeah, well, it's mostly original. That's what you got to aim for. So I wanted to ask you. So I've always this burning question. So I'm friends with Mike Pondsmith, who has the Cyberpunk.
Mike is a great guy.
Yep. And then
I'm friends with him too. I'm friends with him.
Yeah. Were you with Hero when they did the Fusion plugin?
I was working for them as a freelancer. I was doing a lot of books for them at the time, and I was familiar with what they were working on at the time. They called it Instant Hero, and the code name for it, for some reason, was Mozzarella. Because somebody at some point said it was a very cheesy idea, and and they, at some point, decided that looking at these numbers, this system we've got of trying to boil the hero system down, they thought this is an awful lot like the whatever it's called, the interlock system, I think.
Yeah.
In the R. Talsorian products, and they were good friends with Mike. And they decided to see if they could sort of bring the two of them together, and that ended up creating Fusion. I didn't design Fusion, I wasn't part of that, but I was sort of on the periphery saying, well, okay.
Right. Yeah, because I was, so that was back when I was looking to design something myself. So I was like, I want to, because I always wanted to make my own game. But I kind of wanted to cut my teeth on something else, something free that I could give away so that I could practice, get practice and make like a quality product. See how long it took, because I had no idea what was all involved with formatting and artwork and all those things.
It takes way more time than most gamers think.
Oh my God. So, so I decided, and it wasn't very wise of me. I didn't make the wisest decision. I decided to do a Fusion Powers book that was more involved. You could do more things with it, kind of like Hero.
Sure.
And actually, foolishly, because in retrospect, when it was all done and I put it out and people, were commenting on it, I come to realize that if you wanted to do something like that, you'd just play Hero. You see, so I you guys from Hero dumbed it down to, not dumbed it, but simplified it down. Yeah. On the Fusion level, and then I blew it back up again, but in a different kind of sort of a little bit of a different direction.
Yeah.
So, but I still liked your system. I mean, you.
Yeah, it was cool. It was fun. I mean, yeah.
No, go ahead.
It was like almost 190 pages Powers book.
But I mean, that's important. Regardless of whether it was a good idea or not, the discipline of doing it and completing it is an important thing.
Oh yeah, I learned a lot from that experience. Yeah. And it all worked too. I was amazed because we play tested it, and I was just like, "Wow, all my maths and everything are working out great." These superheroes. It's not terribly broken. It's pretty good. So that was kind of cool. And then I did a martial arts book for it as well. And again, I overdid that one too. So that was a good learning experience.
Yeah, but Pete, give yourself a plug. Where can that be found? That's still out there. Why don't you tell us where we can find something like that?
What's that? Yeah, you can still get those at studio187.com. You can it's under my Fusion products. So anyway,
how
still free.
Shameless is that?
Still free. And please, whatever you do, don't be like the other douchebag and download it, put a different cover on it, and then put it on a store and sell it, because that is not fun.
I used to have there was a guy who used to burn my free the Starship books to CDs or DVDs and then sell them on eBay for like 99 cents. And I used to have to send, eBay you had to fill out this letter form, and after I sent 4 or 5, he quit doing it. I wish there had been a way for me to reach out to post a message on his page saying, you can get this for free over here.
Well, this guy had done it with mine and like 2 other people's stuff and one of Mike Pondsmith's. But he did it with Fusion, like the original Fusion rule. He basically sealed, filed off the serial numbers, put a new cover on it, called it something else, called it Infusion, and was selling it on Scribd, and I think somewhere else too. And we got in touch with Mike, and Mike went after him with the pit bulls, and the guy just disappeared off the internet, like completely. Like every reference to him was gone within a day.
Never to be seen again.
Yes, right. So anyway, that was
kind of like Wilson Fisk took care of it, huh?
Yeah, Wilson. Yes, the Kingpin.
We don't say his name.
Oh yeah, don't. Not Mike. Someone else.
Our employer.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, so I'm sure everybody's familiar with the hero system and stuff, but I think people probably aren't a whole lot familiar with you unless they're like really big fans and follow everything you do. Is your mythology? So you got this new book on Odin. Tell us about Odin.
In fact, I even have I got an author's copy in the mail today for those of you who want to take a look.
Ooh, that's
nice.
This is scheduled to be released for general sales on May 19th, 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of Osprey Publishing's Myths and Legends line.
Cool, that's cool. So what did you learn writing about Odin? So I guess you're going back, because a lot of people write about Norse mythology, and Odin is sort of like this character who kind of makes appearances, right? He's never the star. The star is always like Thor, or it always seems like references to Odin as they affect the other gods and stuff. What did you learn writing about
Well, no, that's really, if you dig into Norse mythology, if you really read it in its original sources as opposed to, translated books of tales, there are lots and lots of myths involving Odin, and he also is more likely to make, if you will, random guest appearances in myths, where Thor does not. He shows up in the Volsunga saga several times to hand out magic swords and then take magic swords away and take the bodies of fallen heroes away, things like that.
Right.
He often shows up to give people advice or frequently to challenge giants to contests of wisdom. Odin's role in the broader context of Norse mythology is to gather wisdom and resources that the gods will need in their ultimate battle against the giants. He takes from the giants things the gods will need.
Right.
And the myths in which he does this just aren't as popular as the myths involving Thor, because the myths involving Thor are, rollicking adventure tales.
Right.
And the myths involving Odin are, okay, we're going to sit down and have a riddle contest to see who knows more.
Okay.
Kinds of things.
So Odin is a thinking man's Thor?
Is a thinking man's god, yeah. And he, in fact, as far as I know, based on my pretty extensive research in world mythology, I think he's the only head of a pantheon in world mythology who's also a god of magic, specifically, and wisdom. The god of magic and wisdom is usually a lesser god. I won't swear there's not another one out there, but he's certainly the only one, who's a major figure. Zeus is not, Osiris is not, Shirwangi is not.
Okay, cool. So we just saw Avengers just came out. We didn't all see it, but for those who saw it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. No spoilers.
Not spoiling. We have an anti-spoiler policy. I saw it. Yes, I did.
Asshole. Okay, go ahead, Pete. Sorry.
Anyway, so no. This is a Thor question, just because he's you've seen him use lightning in his hammer and everything like that. My understanding from what I've read of the actual Legends of Thor was did he strike the clouds with his hammer while he was riding on his goat chariot? Is that how he made it?
As he's riding, when he rides his goat chariot through the clouds, the rolling of the wheels across the clouds creates thunder.
Okay, right. Okay, and then
You know,
lightning.
And then lightning flashes from his hammer as he throws it or waves it around. Typically.
Okay, so in the legends, lightning comes from his hammer.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Or it's usually depicted that way. I mean, the text of the actual myths usually just says, and then Thor killed him with his hammer.
Right. So,
unfortunately, ancient mythographers were annoyingly vague when it came to details of, precisely how many points of damage things do and what types of costuming gods wore. It makes it very difficult, as I'm writing Mythic Hero, the book I've been working on for almost 4 years now, to stat up these gods. Because, every now and then they tell us something, like, when the death of Thor in Ragnarok is, we've got precise details, we know things, but most myths are not that precise. On the other hand, Finnish mythology is very kindly tells us the color of several gods' socks. I don't know why this matters to the Finns, but it does for some reason, and more power to them.
You might say it's more finished.
Oh, jeez.
Finished.
Oh my god.
Wow.
See, it's
wow. So, all right.
So painful.
So they're talking about this female Thor, right? I'm
in the comics. I haven't read any of those issues, but I saw the news articles about it.
Neither have I, but and they're talking about how Thor does something messed up, and she winds up taking the mantle and stuff like that. Now, I don't care that there's a female Thor. Like I'm great with a strong female character, but I'm a little disappointed in the creativity, because my thinking is, aren't there plenty of really cool Norse goddesses who you could use instead? Like, instead of rehashing the same trope, can we go like, aren't there some female goddesses that are badass?
Sure, there are textually. I don't know what they've done with them in the Marvel Universe, what they've established. Freya, for example, is not only a goddess of love, but a battle goddess. She gets half the dead from battle, and Odin gets the other half for Valhalla.
That sounds pretty badass.
Yeah. Sif, as Thor's wife, technically may have some battle aspects, but she's a very vague figure, and the vagueness of her can be shown by the fact that her name means wife. That's a little we know about her. And there are and here's my wife. And there are some other female figures. Thor's daughter Thrud, whose name means strength. She's one of the Valkyries. The Valkyries themselves obviously are powerful female figures. I ended up having to cut it out of the book for space reasons, because Osprey has very specific, word count reasons, but there are intriguing aspects. You can look at Odin as not just a patriarchal figure because he leads a pantheon, but as a matriarchal figure in many ways, because amongst other things, he leads a band of warrior women.
Sweet pimp.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You've got all kinds of powerful, intriguing female characters in Norse mythology, and it's perfectly okay for them to make one up if they want to in the comics, but if they want to draw from mythology, they've got lots to pull from.
Right,
So,
and that was just my thinking on
As
it.
usual, Marvel's failure to offer me a fat consulting contract solves their problems.
Right. They should hire you for Thor 3 Ragnarok. You should be you should.
Well, they can hire me for pretty much anything. It's the large stacks of cash that really are important.
yes.
Oh yeah, I got you right. Yeah. What's that, Mike?
No, I was gonna say that. Yeah, you are correct, Pete. I think that I agree with you that they should have definitely, gone with something else. Another character as opposed to a female Thor. I think that would have been just as. I don't know whether you would call politically correct or not, but for whatever reason, and I think it would have been even better, like you were saying, for it to be a female, and Steve kind of substantiates that there could have been multiple people, how awesome would it have been to have his daughter, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Thor and his daughter.
Does anyone actually know who she is, though?
No, and she could be. Okay, fair enough. I don't really know.
I don't know if the Marvel
Look it
Comics
up.
Norse mythology, he may not have a daughter. Since he's never married Sif, but they've solved stranger problems than that in the past. I'm sure they can come up with something.
I think where I was going was, instead of her putting on the Thor outfit and taking the hammer, you know, she shows up with her spear and her Valkyrie outfit or whatever, you know, and kicks ass with that. I mean, why does she have to be swinging
Don't
the
they have a Valkyrie already?
They do. Why couldn't they use her? Why couldn't she take that spot, the fill the void that he left?
I don't know what Valkyrie the character has been doing since they stopped publishing the Defenders.
Yeah.
You know, she was always one of the mainstays of that book.
So what do you think? What was the coolest thing about Odin that you found out? I mean, like what kind of surprised you when you started doing your research? You're like, oh, look at that. Odin was this.
I was kind of surprised that there are more than a few historical references to, you know, actual Norse warriors saying, we don't like this guy, we don't trust him, we're not going to worship or follow him, screw you, Odin.
Huh.
You know, it was kind of fascinating to see all of that, you know, in that, because, you know, mythologically, Odin's goal is to prepare the gods to fight Ragnarok, to fight the giants. And so he takes the human heroes he thinks he needs to do that, and so he will, you know, bestow favors and power on them when he feels that's important, and then he'll let them die so that he can take them to Valhalla. He uses them as a resource, and Vikings don't necessarily take that sort of thing lying down.
Right.
So.
But then again, I mean, you get a reward. You know, you do this thing.
Yeah, you get to do the thing you love for eternity, basically.
Yeah.
There are a number of small poetic sagas, often commissioned by surviving queens or relatives, describing a certain hero's ascent into Valhalla and how other heroes and gods welcome him upon his arrival.
I'm going to tell you, I'm not a religious man, but if I was, Valhalla would be the place I would want to go. See, heaven doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun to me. Valhalla sounds like a blast. Like, I think that's where I'd like to spend my eternity if there was an eternal place to spend it.
I've always sort of assumed that heaven is whatever you would most enjoy. So, for example, if there's a heaven and I get to go there when I die, I'm pretty sure I'm going to show up and somebody will say, hey, here's this stack of awesome fantasy novels J.R.R. Tolkien has been writing since he got here in 1973. You know.
Yay!
Yay!
And you've got an eternity to read them, and the instant you read them, you have full recollection of them, and you know all these other great things, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, and there'll be parts of heaven where you can go beat the crap out of one another with swords, and then put yourself back together at the end of the day, and go have pork and mead served to you by beautiful warrior women.
Yes. Pete, here's a river of beer. You may drink from it. And oh, did I mention all the winches laying across the shore? It's like, yeah, I've arrived.
I'm going to have to go with that whole Arabic version of heaven.
What's that,
No,
the 40?
Yes, that.
42 Virgins? Oh, it's a
Yes,
D&D
that.
club. A big giant D&D. No, I'm kidding. So anyway, I'm
Well, I
sorry.
wouldn't necessarily take those parts of the Quran literally.
No.
But
That's cool. So so you have something called the Impossible Projects list. What is that? What is this Impossible Project?
it's a sometimes ever-lengthening list of books I want to write, but that are so long and involved and unlikely to ever turn a profit that I just sort of have to work on them as I want to work on them, and when they're done, and I try to find a way to publish them. The one I've been working on for 3.5 years now, Mythic Hero, is at the top of that list, and whenever I finish it, I'll find a way to publish it, and then I'll post a little poll online saying, here's what's currently on the list. What do you guys want to see me start on next?
Right, I got you. Okay, so you have a list on your website for Impossible like your next project?
It's not on my website. It's pretty much just in my head.
Okay.
I should probably put it on my website now that you mention it. But
You can make a poll, and then you can be like, oh, this is what people really want. I might be able to sell this.
yeah, Well, that's part of the truth is, for example, one of them would be to finally write Western Hero, or to finally write a new modern day like Danger International or espionage book for Hero.
Ooh.
But the problem is, either of those books would require a year or two worth of research and then writing, and would make less money than a 32 or 64 page Champion supplement I could write in a week or two in my spare time.
Right.
They're projects that I want to do out of love.
Right. They're the kind of things that guys like me who don't need to make any money on anything because I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And can just write for fun. You know?
Legendary Hero, which is a follow-up to Mythic Hero, is one. The Ultimate Weapon and the Ultimate Armor. The Gamer's Guide to Nazi Germany. Those are the mainstays right now. I'm sure there are a couple others I'm not remembering.
Oh, the Guide to Nazi Germany. That would be awesome for like Savage Worlds.
Well, mainly it would just be. Oh, and the other one would be the Pulp Adventurer's Guide to the World, in which I collect antique maps from the 1920s and 30s and travel guides and exploration books and related ephemera, and I'd love to turn them all into one great, cool book about what the world was actually like in the 20s and 30s, so that I know, for example, from actual reference sources, how much it costs to rent a plane in Kenya in 1933. But the problem is, finding some way to distill all that down, because I can't. A lot of these maps are fragile. I can't send them to an artist. I can't,
Right.
even have them photocopied in some cases because they're too big. So there are all these sort of logistical problems. But again, all of these are hurdles that will eventually be overcome somehow.
Right.
Assuming I live long enough.
Right. That's true.
Or that I can upload my brain to the cloud, before Alzheimer's sets in.
Just don't get put in one of those robot dogs, because people kick those, and you don't want to be kicked. That's no fun. All right, so Stephen, we are about we go a few more minutes. What do you say, Mike?
David's back online. The chat room evidently was taking a fart. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask now, or
I'll forever hold your peace.
Those other two heads that haven't talked much, they could ask questions too. Pipes, what do you got to say, man?
I'm sorry, I'm still recovering from a head cold.
Yeah.
That's why I haven't been talking that much. But yeah, I'm loving the work you're doing on Odin. I mean, I'm really kind of curious. What was like your first initial leap into your research phase for stuff on Odin? I'm just kind of curious about that.
Well, basically, I started all this a little over a year ago, and I took my library on Norse mythology, which was pretty extensive at that time, and quickly grew much, much larger.
Mm-hmm.
And I started by reading the original sources. I read the Poetic Edda, I read the Prose Edda, I read the sagas that are not in either Edda that had references to Odin, making notes and underlining things. And after I was done with that and had a framework for what I wanted to do, I then went back and began reading the scholarly secondary material, drawing on published books and articles I could get on academia.edu and Deep Dive and places like that. And was even fortunate enough I reached out to a scholar at Oxford who had written an article that I found very helpful, and asked her a couple of questions, and she was kind enough to give me a few minutes of her time, and answered them, and is of course thanked and referenced in the book. And so basically it was just a question of sitting down and spending a whole lot of time reading about Norse mythology, all the horror.
Norse mythology is one of the more interesting ones I have found, in that they're gods, right? But they in a sense they are immortal because they can die, they can be slain, whereas like a lot of other gods, they don't really talk about gods being able to be killed. You know, it's not really mentioned all that much. Like in Greek mythology. Now I could be wrong because I'm not a mythology expert, but from my from my memory, reading about the Greek gods, they didn't talk about them being like killed too much. I mean, that
Not so. There are. It varies from mythology to mythology, but there are, lots of stories of gods being fought or opposed, and in some cases even killed and brought back to life, or coming back to life in various ways.
Much like a comic book.
You'll often hear people, in discussing deities and demigods, which is in a lot of ways, the model for mythic hero, saying, well, there shouldn't be stats for gods. That's just wrong. God shouldn't have stats. Well, people don't fight gods. In fact, yes, they do. They fight them all the time. There are all sorts of instances in world mythology of mortal heroes fighting gods and beating them. Whether those fights are physical confrontations, as in, for example, Diomedes cutting Aphrodite's hand in the Trojan War and making her flee the battlefield because, I've been hurt. Or mental challenges or trickery. If you're going to go to the trouble of writing stories about your gods are typically anthropomorphized enough to be vulnerable to, dramatic interference. Otherwise, why bother telling the story in the first place?
Exactly. I mean, if you look at stuff with deities, usually in a lot of cases they can take the forms of avatars, a physical manifestation through the mortal realm. And there's even fantasy elements that have been written where mortals become gods through great deeds and feats.
Sure. You see that a lot, particularly in the whole avatar concept is particularly prevalent in Hindu mythology, of course, where the gods are bouncing and mortals are bouncing all around in different incarnations and appearances and versions and, 2.0, and I swear to God, sometimes reading the Mahabharata, you think there are like 5 versions of this one guy.
oh yeah.
It's incredibly confusing, and yet it's one of the greatest epics in world history.
Wasn't he just reborn like 2 chapters ago?
And it's a fascinating story. It's just the philosophical ideas it's based around and sort of ruminates about are not ones that are necessarily ones that resonate with Westerners until you stop and think about them. And Chinese mythology is even weirder,
Oh yeah.
So, and many mythologies just don't even have that sort of body of lore. But yeah, there are plenty of ways to beat the gods, whether it's thumb wrestling or riddle contests, or duels with swords. So
it seems to be like most of the epics are kind of like that, though. Most of the epics are men challenging the gods.
In one way or another, or dealing with the consequences of having had the hubris to challenge them and failed, or
Right.
getting on their bad side. I mean, the whole Odyssey is Poseidon being really pissed off at Odysseus and making us like miserable for 10 years, basically.
Yeah.
And for that matter, the whole Trojan War is caused because, Paris doesn't have the good sense that, God gave a goat.
That's funny. God give. I never heard that term before.
I challenge
so-
Zeus to a battle of the wits. It ends when you drink from your glass and mine from mine.
Right. I clearly cannot. Anyway.
Never go up against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
Right. So we skipped over something. I'm sorry, and I want to come back to that real quick because I went right on to your work in mythology, but we skipped right over your fiction work. So you also write fiction.
I do. I've been focusing a lot more on that in the past 3 or 4 years. It was something I finally decided I wanted to try, and I've been, I'm pretty bad, but I'm getting better. I've had half a dozen or 8 short stories published. I'm reaching the point where, publishers and people I know are asking me to contribute to anthologies. In theory, I have a novel written that needs revision. Whether I'm going to get around to that anytime soon is kind of an open question.
Right.
But I'm certainly enjoying writing the short stories very much. The ones I just had, the one I had most recently released, I think, was the one in the Exalted anthology that was part of their Kickstarter for the new edition of Exalted. And then I have the two coming up most recent, or in the near future, are the story for the Champions of Ataltus anthology that Mark Tassin has put together for his Ataltus fantasy world, which will be a lot of fun. I really loved writing that story. It was one of the most fun times I've ever had writing a story. And then the story I wrote for James Gates's Genius Loci anthology that's being published by Ragnarok Publishing.
Oh, Allegra, you know what that is? I'm not familiar with that.
It's a story. Jane is a good friend of mine. She's
She's amazing.
She is amazing in many, many ways. She's the public relations director for the Science Fiction Fantasy Writers of America, and so she knows a lot of people. And one day she was sort of musing on Facebook. It's like, as far as I can tell, no one's ever done a science fiction fantasy anthology about stories about genius loci, about spirits of place. I wonder if you could tell something like that. And like within 10 minutes, she had like 100 people offering to contribute stories in this thread. And an hour later, she had 2 publishers willing to publish.
Uh-oh. Mike, is that...
submissions.
Okay, he's back.
And
Sorry.
That was the published submissions.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be one of the couple dozen people, I think, that made the cut. I wrote a story about a little patch of woods. I live in the house I grew up in, and it's a little patch of woods that's about 2 minutes walk from my house that I spent hours and hours and hours playing in as a kid.
Mhm.
And the story is about this, fairly middle-aged guy who he's looking to end it all, and he looks out the window and he sees a forest. Like, oh, I haven't been down to the forest in years. Let's go just take one last look. And he goes down there, and the spirit of the forest basically persuades him to that life is worth living, because he at one point kept developers from cutting the forest down.
Okay.
The ironic thing is, I wrote the story, I want to say about this time last year, and the guy in the story was dying of cancer. And then last November, when I was diagnosed with colon cancer, I went back and read the story. I'm like, okay, this is oddly predictive. Why didn't I write that this guy won the lottery?
Right.
There you go.
Aww.
But it's not anything like any story I've ever written, and I was really happy that James liked it well enough to include it in the anthology. I can't wait to read, what the other stories are like.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
So, and then I've got a couple others coming up that I am not yet at the liberty to talk about.
Right, yeah. Well, when you're writing for anthology, have you gotten good reception from that? Because I know people write their own. We know a lot of authors have written their own novels.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a bunch of them on the show, and they've done a little bit of anthology work, and I've never asked about that. What is your reception from anthology work? Have you gotten a lot of people coming back and saying, "Hey, I read your story in this book, and I really liked it"? Have you gotten any feedback on that kind of stuff? Have you, what has that been like? Hello? Uh-oh,
he's frozen.
For a second there, I thought he was looking at me like,
What a stupid
Really?
question, Pete. All right, let's just give him a second. He may have he may drop out and come back.
All right, real quick.
Here he is, because that
Come
happened
back,
one time
come
before
back.
the show. Okay.
I think I'm back. Can you see and or hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, you're back. All right.
So you were saying, Peter?
Oh, about anthology. So I was asking, how have you? What's the reception been like for writing anthologies, as opposed to say writing? Because we know a lot of people written novels and stuff. And we know what kind of feedback they get and how they. So what has your experience been with anthologies?
Honestly, it's hard to say. I mean, other than having people specifically tell me, online or in person, hey, I read your story and I really liked it, I haven't gotten much feedback. And part of that is, generally don't go look to read comments. I did read one comment in the Exalted Kickstarter that accused me of having absolutely no idea of how the game worked, which is pretty funny.
That's funny.
But or something to that effect. But the truth is, I'm not yet a big enough name to attract a lot of attention or comment from people on the internet. So I'm sort of working towards that.
Right.
Hopefully one day, I will get lots of people showing up on my website, and I will have to actually pay attention to it rather than just remembering to post a blog every 4 or 5 months.
Well, people keep asking you to write short stories for them, right? Then you must be doing a good job because they must like your stuff.
That is my hope, that clearly I must be doing something right, or getting better anyway,
right?
Or they wouldn't keep doing this.
If you enjoy doing it, that's really the best part.
And then part of the fun of writing short stories as opposed to novels is you can finish them fairly quickly. You're not committing months of your life.
That's true.
Which is one reason why I've never gotten back to revising my novel, and when I say revise, I mean rewriting completely because it's awful.
Okay. So one more thing before we go to the next portion of the show is it's something that I saw that you put on your doc that I kind of I'd like to touch on. Kickstarter and its impact on RPG and fiction publishing. So what are your thoughts on how Kickstarter has impacted the RPG industry? I mean,
that is a topic often discussed in hour-long panels at science fiction and gaming conventions. It's
real top-level stuff.
Yeah, I'd say in many ways it's been transformative. It has allowed small and even very large companies to remain in business or come into business and do projects they might not otherwise be able to do, because the ability to obtain the capital up front and to know that the consumer interest exists so that you can pay the creative people up front, allows you to do things that otherwise would have been too risky. Conversely, it keeps you from losing money on projects you think are sure winners that it turns out nobody really wants.
Right.
It obviously has for example, it has some negative impacts on the retail chain, at least some aspects of it, but that really is sort of that's part of the, I think, evolution of the internet. Going forward, we're just finding more and more ways for consumers to interact directly with manufacturers, particularly in this case of very small niche products, and art, because they're RPGs aren't produced in large enough numbers to make it into big box stores, or even into most RPGs into major gaming stores. Even the best gaming stores, really good ones like Modern Myths and Zombie Planet and Endgame, can't carry all the RPGs that are produced. So Kickstarter provides a way to, if your product is attracting enough consumer attention, to get it in the hands of consumers.
But do you think that hurts? Like, for example, your work with Hero, your business with Hero. Do you think that hurt you at all? Do you think Kickstarter has had any impact on your company?
No, I mean it allows us to be shifted basically to a model where we do books via Kickstarter, because the nature of RPG publishing, at least for us, had shifted to the point where that was a more viable model. It's been a good thing for us. So we like it.
So I'm gonna have to give you a big hand for that, because that's awesome. So I'm always complaining about companies that don't recognize what's going on in technology, and they ignore it because that's not their business model, and then they go under and they cry the blues. Oh, the internet destroyed my business. Like, you were in the business, you had a lot of money, you saw it coming, you could have been that guy, you could have been the people who did that. Like the record industry is crying about, oh yeah, the internet killed us. It's just like, you deserve to die then, because you did not evolve with the technology. You could have been Apple iTunes. you had that. You already had it. In other words, you let them eat your lunch. So I think that's cool that you're.
In our case, it's more a matter of, you know, the RPG market has been, for most of publishers anyway, I would argue, you know, slowly diminishing over time, and it had just, for us, diminished to the point where, you know, our methods of production were not feasible, so it was find another method or just stop producing. And so Kickstarter was that other method.
That's
you know,
cool.
It would have been nice if it had, you know, broken big a few years earlier. It might have been even better for us. But the fact that it exists at all is, I think, an important thing. And like I say, I mean, it's a tool. You got to use the tools that are best for your business. And obviously, it's had, you know, a pretty big impact. I mean, there are lots of games out now that, you know, have come out over the past 3 or 4 years that I don't think ever would have seen the light of day if it hadn't been for Kickstarter.
Yep.
And I think there are some projects that failed on Kickstarter early on that might succeed now that it's better known.
Right. Yep.
Hopefully,
I think that
including
there's
Mythic
still a lot
Hero, if I ever get around to kickstarting it again.
Yeah.
I think that there's still a lot of innovation left in the gaming world too.
Agreed.
A lot of times we see these things that, you know, like Pete and I will walk around at some of the cons we go to, and we see these guys putting themselves out there. Like we were at TotalCon recently, and there was just so much really interesting twists that people have been putting on the games they design, and I'm excited, and I just hope that they're able to like.
Well, we're
take
seeing
advantage
we're at an interesting nexus where the cheap availability of really high quality desktop publishing tools and 3D printing tools and other things like that make it possible to experiment in game design and tinker and produce prototypes for concepts that would have been, you know, so expensive in past years that you couldn't have done it.
Right.
Any of you, for example, have you ever played the card game Strange Synergy from Steve Jackson Games?
Mm-mm.
I haven't.
It's
played
a really fun little card game where basically you pick 3 or 4 random cards out of a pack, and they're like random superpowers. You have to combine them to make the best possible powers you can get for your character, sort of like the best possible hand in poker, and then fight your way through the battlefield. It's a lot of fun. But I was talking with Steve at one point about it, and telling him how much my group enjoyed it. He said, well, you know, we had that idea on file for like 8 years before card printing became cheap enough that we could afford to do it.
Right.
You know, because it involves so many cards, so many unique cards, that it has to be cheap to produce. And these days, the tools available allow people to produce in their own homes, in their spare time, things that used to require, you know, having your own print workshop.
Right.
And your own, you know, tool and die facility. It's great. And it's only going to get better and better and better until, you know, the working holochambers come along and society collapses because, you know, we're all in there having sex with Catherine McPhee or whoever else we want, and everybody dies of starvation.
Yeah. You know, something else I've noticed a lot of that's been going on is a lot of cross-platform stuff. So a lot of RPGs mixed with card games, where you're playing cards, but that's your RPG. Board games crossing over. I mean, there's just everything's becoming blended. So it's kind of cool because somebody will say, "Hey, so what is your game?" And they'll be like, "Well, it's kind of a card game, kind of an RPG, sort of a tabletop thing."
Yeah.
Kind of hard to
Mimic battling.
telling.
New forms of entertainment, new ways to do things, and definitions are being sort of stretched and twisted and melded together. And, you know, not everything that we call a game, you know, is necessarily a game. You know, what was it? I want to say it was the creator of, I think it was SimCity, said, you know, SimCity is marketed as a game. He said it's not a game. It's a toy. It's only a game when you impose a condition on yourself. Can I build a city that satisfies these conditions?
Yeah, right. Because you have to win.
Until you have that, it's just it's like modeling clay. It's just something you're fiddling with. It's not actually. There's Greg Costikyan, who's a well-known game designer from, who did RPGs way back in the day and went on to great success in computer games, has a great article defining what a game is. It's out there on the web, and how it differs from a toy or a puzzle or other things like that. That you have to think about these things. A lot of what we think of as games are not necessarily really games, but that's not bad. It just means we need to be a little more careful with our definitions. The point again is entertainment and fun. Zoe Quinn's Depression Quest, for example, I have not played it, but I'm not sure that it, from the descriptions I've heard, that it necessarily qualifies as a game. It sounds to me more like it's almost a sort of a melding. Oh, it's like partly a game and partly a fictional experience. And similarly, Paul Cheggie's early indie game, My Life with Master. To what extent is that a game when you know what the ending is going to be every time, and the question is the route you take to get there? There's a lot of fascinating philosophical and ethical and ludological, issues here that can be discussed at great length by, PhDs at conferences in fancy hotels.
My take on it, hold on, Pete. My take on it is, if it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, then it's definitely gamey.
All right. Okay. And with that,
oh, you got better jokes, huh?
We got some better jokes coming up. So, Stephen, we're going to hang with us for the rest of the show.
Absolutely.
But everybody, go to www.Stephen, and that's with the V, not the PH, StephenSLong.com. Check him out on Facebook. He's, of course, facebook.com/Stephen.S.Long.7, because apparently there are 6 other Stephen S. Longs.
He killed them all and took their power.
Oh, it's like the one. Anyway, kind of looks like Jet Li. So his Twitter handle is Stephen S. Long, and then you can also find his stuff.
I'm sensing a theme.
Yeah, there is a theme here. I'm gonna break that theme though, because you can also find his stuff at HeroGames.com, and he's also on Amazon, but that's too long. Just look at the links down below there and click on that and go buy his stuff at Amazon. Buy all his stuff. It's good stuff. So, Stephen, thank you for being a guest on our show.
Thank you very much.
And once you've been on our show, anytime you want to promote anything, you want to come back on, you just let us know. And we very actively promote people who've been on our show.
Thank you very much. I will be glad to do so. I've had a great time. Be glad to come back whenever you like. And let's proceed to round 2.
Yeah. All right.
You are now an honorary MythWit. All guests are honorary MythWits.
Yes. So
are there like dues?
No, there's no dues. It's completely free.
You've already paid your dues listening to my ridiculous puns.
Yes.
Have you paid your dues? Yes, sir. The check is in the mail.
You're about to pay the dues, Mike. Are we gonna do?
Yeah,
Pete. My boy in town.
Pete, I don't know what's going on here because a Wookiee knocked on my door. I just got home from work. I was even late. I don't know. Maybe he was just staked out waiting for me.
Hey, hold on, wait, real quick. Did he fly in the Millennium Falcon? Because I got my Millennium Falcon shirt on.
No, this must have been before then. It must be some weird timey-wimey thing because,
I got you.
He sat on my head, he farted on me, and then he gave me these envelopes. So I have these envelopes. Evidently, yes, they still smell harmonically sealed, hermetically, whatever that is, harmonically. And so, yeah, they're here. I just I don't know what I'm supposed to do with them. So from then on, I don't. Pete. Oh, Pete must be something's going on with him. So I'm just going to. Hey, Brian, how are you doing today? Pete's. We must have lost his signal. He's doing something else. So how was your day today, Brian?
It was okay.
It was.
How about you, Mike?
It was pretty lousy, as a matter of fact. So.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
we don't care about your day.
Oh, crap.
Oh, God, he's here.
Oh, well, I tried. So it seems like, Stephen, that we have a very, very special guest on the show. He hasn't been around in a while. It's been pretty peaceful.
This
Darth? It's
Oh.
Darth Blix. Yes.
She
Really?
scared Allegra
Did you
off.
have to scare Allegra off like that? You're a real ass.
It's unworthy. Unworthy.
God, I wish this was real.
Get on with Michael.
So, Darth, am I to understand that
If
you
you
were the
think
one that sent
Allegra is
the Wookiee?
unworthy, you really need to seriously reevaluate your priorities.
Am I to take it that you were responsible for the Wookiee farting in my face and giving me these envelopes?
Yes. These are important questions that have come across the galaxy. Need to be answered by none other than Darth Blix.
Which galaxy was that?
One that was far, far away.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
When was this?
A long time ago.
Thank you. He's very specific and picky with his answers. I will say that. So explain to me how this works again, because gosh, if I only knew.
I have precognitive abilities. Those questions, I've never seen those questions before. They're in sealed envelopes. I will answer your questions before you even ask them.
Well, thank you for taking the time to put the MythWits logo on there. That was very special of you. All right, so I'm just supposed to rip one of these at random, right? I just pick one at random and rip it open, and you'll know the answer to it.
I got to give you the answer first.
You're going to give me the answer first.
I'll give you the answer before you ask the question.
Okay, well, this is a sealed envelope, so I guess we'll just pick this one here. What is the answer to this question?
Let me use my power. My dark powers.
It's
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
That's the answer.
That's the answer, yes.
The
course it
answer is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Far away, yes.
All right, here I go. I'm going to rip that open there. Reach in. All right. That time Carrie Fisher looked good in a slave bikini. A long time ago in a
You're in a galaxy far.
far, far away.
Now, you got to give her credit. She lost 40 pounds for this new sequel. All right? Y'all leave Miss Fisher alone.
Science.
I took a fart. I took a Wookiee fart in the face for this. All right.
You did. May you have to clean the dingleberries from between that Wookiee's cheeks.
I did, unfortunately. All right, well, here's another one. I have another envelope here. One of many too many. So what do we have here, buddy?
Greedo.
I'm sorry.
Greedo is the answer to your question.
Greedo?
Greedo.
Guido.
Greedo.
Greedo.
Is the answer to
Greedo.
this burning question that is in this envelope. All right. You insist. Guido. To the question.
Greedo.
Fucking
Greedo.
offensive now here.
Well, what do you make Gree bread out of? Will you make Gree bread out of Greedo?
Yes. Make cookies out of it too. Yes.
Oh, God, this hurts.
Okay.
This hurts so much.
All right.
Remember, Luke, you feel his presence, not his package.
I can't deny that. I have
Excuse
never
me,
felt his
Mr. Blix?
package.
Mr. Blix?
Yes.
There's a Mr. Karnak here. He has a copyright infringement lawsuit for you.
This man, I
Oh,
may have done something terrible to him.
what are you talking about? This must just be innovation.
This is
Wheels.
perfectly invented this all by myself. No one, never heard of this Karnak person. Don't know what you speak of.
Yes. Let him reveal himself then, right? All right. So I have this other envelope. So please, I'm dying to know. I literally
Okay.
wish I was dead to not know. So what do we have here, buddy?
I felt a great disturbance in the force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror.
Yes, like three people especially. So
One less at the moment.
so the answer is a great disturbance of the force cried out. All
Millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror.
Describe Molly Cyrus twerking.
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing. Okay. Yeah. May you be the only fat guy in the movie, and may they name you Porkins.
Porkins.
Yeah, I'm not happy with George Lucas about that. I thought it was kind of dick.
All right. Let's just keep moving on because the hits, they just keep going. What do we have here? I'm dying.
And I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
So the answer is they smelled bad on the outside.
Yes, I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Thought they smelled bad on the outside. Allegra, where the hell have you been?
My connection dropped.
Okay,
You
Allegra,
picked the right time to leave, Allegra. Good job.
I mean, like, the connection dropped, and then I had to sit there for a minute and be like, do I really want to restart it?
Listen, tell
Hey, you
Allegra.
promised.
What did I miss?
Darth Blix, tell Allegra what the answer to this question is, and I shall read it to her.
And I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
All
Oh,
right,
no.
Allegra, you are front and center for your reaction. The question is, what the cleaning people say about the men's room at most gaming conventions.
Oh, so mean.
Hey, make George Lucas direct your prequels.
Why would you wish that hate on anyone?
Oh, that's just
Hey,
me,
he's
Darth
welcome to
Blix.
direct them as long as he doesn't write them.
Yes, that's true.
All right. The next
Okay.
one.
The next one,
Ready.
please. This
Oh,
is
you're
directed.
doing
I
good.
think this is directed right at Brian. Brian, you're front and
Okay.
center. What is this,
Brian,
Darth
your
Blix?
connection can drop, you know.
Well, no, like, it actually did. As soon as he said, make George Lucas direct your prequels, you gasped, and then my connection just went, eh. That's scary good timing.
Right.
All
Help
right.
me, Obi-Wan. You're my only hope.
All right. Help me, Obi-Wan. You're my only hope. Here we go. Brian, may a Sith have mercy on your soul. What do my co-hosts say at this point in the bit? Help me, Brian. Help me.
I think we've given up hope at this point.
Be the coolest character in a franchise and be killed by a blind guy by accident.
Hey, he lived, okay? He lived.
So you say. All right, last one.
All right. Yeah, there's good news and there's bad news, guys. There's one left. And the bad news is we haven't opened it yet. So
We can get through this.
The answer is lukewarm.
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 I have not a clue where this is going. I really don't.
I'm kind of scared.
What? Oh, God. Lukewarm. What's the internal... What's the
God.
internal temperature of a tauntaun?
Come on.
Oh, wow. That was awesome. I'm sorry.
That's a good one.
That was a good one.
I backed into this
Come on.
one, okay?
I'm surprised I haven't heard this one. That's the sad thing. I've never heard that.
That is amazing.
And I went to a Miss Star Wars pageant twice.
All right.
Hey, hold on a second. Steve, come on, what did you think of that? The internal temperature of a tauntaun. Lukewarm.
Well, it's certainly the best joke in this particular group.
Thank you. Thank you.
Where's my
And
lightsaber?
it's
All right. Looks like Darth Blix is out for the evening.
oh,
It's a shame, but I'll have to leave you all.
no,
Till next
please.
time.
Oh,
Don't go.
God. Don't come back.
Go. Oh,
You're
so
worse
Brian,
than Darth
Brian.
Maul.
how is that internal temperature of I mean, that was good stuff, man. I don't know about you, but Oh, this
Come on,
pile of
man.
paper here.
How was the audience reception to most of those jokes?
David liked it.
Well, in our demographic group of people responding in our chat room, it's a big hit.
Of all the person responding.
All one thumbs.
Hey, but they're up.
I mean, that's 100%. So you know,
Mhm.
it's worth something.
Not counting the people on this podcast. Anyway, Mike, we have a game.
Oh, I don't know, dude. I don't know if I can follow that. I'll try.
Sure you can.
I will definitely try. I will do my goddamnedest. All right. We have a game. And that game... After I turn my
Uh-oh.
thing up and
That's 100%.
The hell?
Uh-oh.
Someone's got feedback.
Someone watching our
On
feed?
this podcast. Anyway. Mike,
Is that what my laugh sounds like? Ugh,
where the hell's that coming from?
getting a new one.
Was that you, Mike?
That's not me.
All right. Anyway, it's gone. Okay.
All right. So, let's see if I can do this semi-accordingly. Steven,
Yes.
are you ready to play MatchWits? Are you ready to match wits with the MythWits? With Peter Blix. Peter Blix. Peter Blix.
Sure.
And Brian Olvera. And Allegra. And she's just laughing. Great. So,
No, this is a great intro. Like, are you ready to match wits? Like, these people that have really impressed you with their jokes and their...
shut up and let me read the questions. I mean, let her read him the instructions. Stephen, you will be read a question to which you will be asked to fill in the blank. Fill in the missing blank with any word, but blank. Before you reveal that word, we are going to have our MitchWit panelists take a stab at your blank. Meaning that they are going to predict what your blank is. We will first look at their answers and then reveal your blank. There will be 5 rounds with 1 question per round. For every correct match that our panelists make with you, they will be awarded 1 million points. For every matching answer the panelists have with each other, they will receive 500 points. Somebody is... Okay. So are we ready to go? Are we ready to go?
I'm
Let's
ready.
do it. All right. So basically what everyone needs to do, and I should have set this up even before we started this, but you just need a piece of paper,
Okay.
Steve. Just a piece of paper and a pen that you can write on. And
Am I keeping score, Mike?
Yes, you are keeping score.
Gotcha. I was ready. I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Oh, Pete's keeping score?
Yes. Peacekeeping
Can I tell you
score
how
is
much
now-
I enjoyed Darth Blix tonight, then?
Sure.
So much.
It was wonderful, wasn't it?
It was just amazing. I'd say it was about 10 million points of wonderful. Wink.
I'm at 2 million. Let me write that number down.
You got a little shade of brown right there, Allegra, right there on your schnoz.
Where? Where?
Right under here.
All right. Are we all ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You.
Here we go. Number 1. And so what'll happen is everyone will write their answers down. They will reveal their answers first, Steve, and then we will reveal yours. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So here we go. Number 1. Before Han Solo won the Millennium Falcon from Lando, he and Chewie used to fly around in a blank. Oh, there we go. Before Han Solo won the Millennium Falcon from Lando, he and Chewie used to fly around in a blank. These questions, all courtesy of the Star Wars today. May the 4th be with you, and also with you. If you're feeling a little, what do you call it there? Feeling a little, Jedi.
Don't hurt yourself.
Yes. Okay, how are we doing, guys? Are we ready?
Almost.
Almost.
I had to rewrite.
All right. I'm going to read this one more time. Before Han Solo won the Millennium Falcon from Lando, he and Chewie used to fly around in a blank. All right. Why don't we go with, first, let's go with Allegra.
Okay, I'm ready. All right.
They used to fly around in a Winnebago. Ooh, that's a good
Ha
answer. Good answer. I see what you did there. All right. Brian, before Han Solo won the Millennium Falcon from Lando, he and Chewie used to fly around in a
Nerf herder.
Oh.
There you go, Steve. That is the kinds of answers we will be getting, and just wait until you hear Pete's. It is a joy. It is something of wonder and amazement. So, Peter, before Han Solo won the Millennium Falcon from Lando, he and Chewie used to fly around in
There you go. Flying Winnebago with a bumper sticker. I heart Uranus.
I'm sorry, that's not a match. She did not say I.
Stop it.
All right. Okay, so Steve, before Han Solo won the Millennium Falcon from Lando, he and Chewie used to fly around in a.
Well, since Peter put Star Trek starships in my mind, I had to say Danube-class runabout.
Oh, nice.
Dang.
That's that would have been acceptable. I probably would have matched you on that. That being said, I'm not playing, and Peter, you have matched with Allegra, giving each of you 500,000 points. All right. Let's move on to round 2. Here we go. Most people think Jabba wanted Leia as a sex slave. However, he actually wanted her to scratch his blank.
Oh.
Most people think Jabba the Hutt wanted Leia as a sex slave. However, he actually wanted her to scratch his blank.
Yeah.
He is a slug. What? It's all just one big.
You know what? And they don't make scratchers for slugs. Those slugs have to go out and make their own scratchers. Sounds like everyone's pretty much good to go, so we're just gonna get right into it there. Allegra.
Oh. Hold on, Mike. Don't say it.
What?
Okay.
Okay.
Hold on. I got a better answer. All right, go. I'm ready.
Oh, jeezy whiz. All right, Allegra, here we go. Most people think Jabba the Hutt wanted Leia as a sex slave. However, he actually wanted her to scratch his
Lottery tickets.
Oh, nice.
Ooh,
Good
that is so PG. You get a gold star.
I'm giving you 100 points for that.
Well,
Captain America
I'm the
would
one
be
that
so
gives
proud
100
of me
points,
right now.
but because a gold star equals that, you may do that. All right.
Officially, 1 gold star equals 100 points.
That's right. It does now. Brian, most people think Jabba the Hutt wanted Leia as a sex slave. However, he actually wanted her to scratch his blank.
Would be so disappointed if someone doesn't match me with this.
If you say nerf her, I oughta.
No.
Oh.
His
His what?
Sarlacc pit.
His Sarlacc
Sarlacc
pit.
pit. Oh, nice.
Nice.
Ew.
That's,
It's-
I'm seeing the result in that, and I'm not okay. That's okay.
Bad.
That's what
Peter,
Boba Fett's doing right now.
most people think Jabba the Hutt wanted Leia as a sex slave. However, he actually wanted to scratch her to scratch his. I'm scared.
Salacious crumb.
Wow.
The
All
little
right.
critter. Yeah.
I had a feeling
Well
he was
done.
going to say that, but
Porky and Monkey Lizard.
nothing to do
With that
what
laugh.
I did or thought.
Oh, wow.
What does
He's
Steve
really
say?
good at that.
That most people think Jabba the Hutt wanted Leia as a sex slave. However, he actually wanted her to scratch his
Mosquito bites.
Mosquito. You see there?
Also PG, but far less entertaining than Allegra's answer.
Yes, Allegra does. Yeah, I think she does deserve that gold star. 100 points. And if we start getting into silver stars worth, we start getting gold coins and brass coins, and that's going to go too far.
And
We're gonna devalue the currency. We can't.
That's right.
We can't introduce you.
I thought I pretty much, did well when I was giving 1,000,000 points for one right answer, but sounds like no.
Wait till we start giving out quatloos.
Oh God, no.
Gold pressed latinum.
Right.
All right, guys, here we go. This is number 3, round 3. Princess Leia inherited some of her father's cruelty. In fact, one time, she used an Ewok as a blank. Let me read that one more time. Princess Leia inherited some of her father's cruelty. In fact, one time, she used an Ewok as a blank.
Oh, I could go really bad with this.
Same.
Don't. No. I know what both of you are thinking, and no.
No, yes. It's off the table. It's not that time of the game. Princess Leia inherited some of her father's cruelty. In fact, one time, she once used an Ewok.
Are you okay over there, Pete?
No, I don't think he is. This is what happens when Pete can't put the answer he wants down. I guarantee you it'll still be just as entertaining. Princess Leia inherited some of her father's cruelty. In fact, one time she used an Ewok as a blank. Please tell me you have something for us, Allegra. Please tell me that it's not...
I'm struggling. I'm really
Yeah,
struggling.
it's hard. I just literally wrote down the only thing I could think of that wasn't straight nasty. I kind of felt bad for the Sarlacc pit one, so...
We will start with Pete then.
Okay. Yeah,
We will
good
start
idea.
with Pete and work our way down.
Why? Why would
Peter?
you start with me?
Peter?
Do it!
Princess
Or as Ian
Leia
McDermott would say,
inherited-
do it.
Princess Leia inherited some of her father's cruelty. In fact, one time, she used an Ewok. Oh God, as a merkin.
I knew you were gonna do it. We said we weren't gonna do it. We said we weren't gonna do it, Pete.
Hey,
Myself.
hey.
How do you bring our distinguished guest Stephen S. Long onto the show?
He was warned.
he was
not
he
adequately warned.
he signed
Nothing
the
could have
contract.
prepared him for this.
The answer,
All right.
Allegra, is it's a trap.
You know, I
Exactly.
used one of those as a question already too, sadly enough. But here we go. Brian, Princess Leia inherited some of her father's cruelty. In fact, one time she used an Ewok as a
Blast shield.
blast shield. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you for your clean, wholesome, and you know what? They deserve it too. So it's acceptable. It's a very acceptable answer.
That's all I could... I was like...
It's okay. I would use them as a blast shield too. Allegra, Princess Leia inherited some of her father's cruelty. Maybe even some of Pete's cruelty. In fact, one time she once used an Ewok as a blank.
As a muff.
Oh,
As a
what?
muff.
Oh. Sorry,
Are you
sorry.
familiar with the fancy hand warmer thing?
Yes.
Yeah?
That's what I was
Put both your
thinking.
hands into
Or
it.
Ewok.
That was the first
Just think about where she'd be putting her hand.
That's right, yeah.
I'm sorry, that's a fancy. It's a
Look
fancy
outside.
article of clothing used in civilized
Yeah.
society. My answer is completely PG.
You put your right hand in its yub and your left hand in its nub. So nub, nub.
And hope it's not wearing a
Allegra, I
merkin.
really don't think on this PG show that you need to be hearing about your muff.
Yeah. You know, I was going to try and pull the double entendre around the corner for Merkin, but she specifically said no. So, Stephen, Princess Leia inherited some of her father's cruelty. In fact, one time, she used an Ewok as a...
Toilet brush.
Oh, nice.
Oh
Nice.
man.
You know
That
what?
was on my list, Steven.
Yes.
I was like this close to writing that one.
Oh,
Maybe that's why they make that gurgly growl sound.
Hey, where would you put
And,
Can you just hold her by the legs?
And that crappy music they play. Ay, ay, ay. I'll tell you, I'll take a gun an Ewok.
Murder on the voice.
Hey, I forgot I had this. Thought I had it. I forgot I had it handy. Anyway, go ahead.
That's all right. All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at round 4. It gets pretty gross under Darth Vader's helmet. Every 6 months, they have to scrape out the blank.
Oh, man.
It gets pretty gross under Darth Vader's helmet. Every 6 months, they have to scrape out the blank. Brian, don't look so perplexed. I mean, there can only be a finite amount of things.
I know, but there's a laundry list of those finite things, all right?
The whole point behind the question.
Exactly.
It's pretty gross under Darth Vader's helmet. Every 6 months, they have to scrape out the blank. Are we locked in, ladies and gentlemen?
No, not yet. Hold on, I'm stuck between two. I'm stuck between two.
Stuck between two.
That's what she said.
All
See?
right.
Steven's coming down to my level.
All right.
Oh, I can take it. I can make it a lot worse. I can make
Okay.
it a lot worse.
All right, Allegra.
All right, I got
Ready for
something.
you?
Yeah, I tapped into my inner 10-year-old and went with boogers.
Oh,
okay.
nice.
It gets pretty gross under Darth Vader's helmet every 6 months.
That's why he always has that breathing thing.
He has a bad sinus infection.
That's
That's why I'm so
Yeah, that was me Friday.
Oh.
Darth Olvera.
Darth Olvera. All right.
Yeah, you're working on kind of an evil mustache there. Like, and the goatee, like, you're heading down a pretty imperial path, son.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean it's
Mustache.
it's a mighty fine line between swashbuckling and villainy.
Yeah. Hey, in Star Trek, you'd be from the Mirror Mirror universe right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only requirement.
This is Evil Bride.
Yeah, and
But
you
I've
know
always
what?
had, I've always had a mustache. The evil version of me has no facial hair.
Oh yeah, that's pretty.
Now I don't know because when you shaved one time and it was like, oh God, it's young doughy faced Brian, get away.
Hey, that's why it's so evil. You never see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he hides
true.
behind a mask of innocence.
Brian, evil Brian. It gets pretty gross under Darth Vader's helmet. Every 6 months, they have to scrape out the blank.
Metachlorians.
Oh,
That was wrong on like such an impeccable level, Will.
Yeah,
I like
don't think you would.
It's basically blood.
Is it?
is it?
The man suffered fourth degree burns, all right?
Oh God, Peter. It gets pretty.
Wait,
gross
so you're
under
telling
that
me he's
helmet.
just leaking midichlorians all the time now?
Well, he'd have to put some kind of ointment or something. That's why he's pale and white. It's all that ointment.
It's like Superman.
Ointment.
We could have been harvesting him for midichlorians.
Right.
Blood types. And this is Lucas who wrote this, for God's sakes.
We could be harvesting any Jedi for midichlorians.
Lucas didn't write this question, okay? I guarantee it. So,
I can't believe he
Pete, what
made
the hell are
that.
they scraping out of his helmet every 6 months? Please.
I said head cheese.
Nice.
Get it? Because it's his head
Cheese.
cheese. Head
I
cheese.
get it. You know what? You get 100 points.
Oh, I'll take it.
That's 100 points right there. Now, Steven. It gets pretty gross under that helmet. We all know. We've all been there. What are they scraping out every 6 months?
Barnacles.
Oh,
He kind of did look like he had some barnacle things on the top of his head.
Yeah.
That's true. But it wasn't dark.
so close. I had a B word.
I probably should have written space barnacles.
Right. Oh, that would have been better. Yep.
Barnachlorians.
Barnachlorians. All right, there is
Combine ours.
There is but one round left. Peter, what is the score?
So far, Allegra has 500,100 points. Brian has 100 points. Peter has 500,100 points.
Wow, it is a very close game.
Neck and neck.
Neck and neck.
Like, not that
All
we've
right.
actually really succeeded at guessing anything that Steven's guessed at.
Is that the
okay.
point? Oh shit, that's the point of this game, isn't it?
That's the point. Yes. Remember, you
Right.
were matching. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Round 5, ladies and gentlemen. Luke Skywalker once had to put his hand in for repairs. As a gag, they gave him a blank.
Oh no.
Ladies and gentlemen, Luke Skywalker once had to put his hand in for repairs. As a gag, they gave him a blank.
You know what? Based on Steven's answers, I'm gonna take a stab at this. No pun intended. I got an idea.
Remember, that's what we're doing. We're taking a stab at his blank. Thank you for finally getting it, Brian. Thank you. You understand. You get it.
You see, you touched the mustache in an evil way. You're
Brian,
totally evil Brian.
Brian gets 1 point for getting my stab at the blank.
You earned it, buddy. You earned it.
Yes, he does. He earned it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Luke Skywalker once had to put his hand in for repairs. As a gag, they gave him a blank. We're gonna start with Brian this time. Brian, what did they give him as a gag?
A hook.
A hook. There you go. Talk about taking stabs at blanks with hooks. Anyway, all right, very good. I like that. I like that answer, Brian. I'm feeling good about it. Allegra, Luke Skywalker once had to put his hand in for repairs. As a gag, they gave him a...
Thermal detonator.
Now he lost his whole arm.
I hope it was the tatch.
Now you can get a robot arm.
Here I come, Emperor.
Now, I guarantee you, we will not...
Like,
be
I feel so much
disappointed.
closer to my father now.
We will not be disappointed with this answer. I just know it. I can feel it in the force. I feel it in the ether.
Your metachlorians are tingling.
God damn it, you beat me by a second.
Oh, right.
Evil Brian.
Twist that mustache.
Luke Skywalker once put his hand in for repairs, Peter, as a gag. Please tell me what they gave him.
A shake weight.
It's a fake lightsaber handle. Why won't it work?
A shake weight. Wow. I mean,
It's not working.
God,
Why isn't the crystal igniting?
in all the multiple universes, in all the multiple worlds of all the places, God, I mean, there has to be some Steven somewhere that said that, but probably not this one. Steven, Luke Skywalker once
Hey, Mike, it was either that or a sham wow.
once had to put his hand in for repairs, and as a gag, they gave him a blank.
Jawa.
A job on one end of his head. Well,
A hood, just a head with the hood over his arm, like a hand puppet.
oh my God.
I bet he uses it to scare 3PO and R2. Like, he just sort of pops up the head. No, the jaw. They're back for you, run!
Peter,
Yes.
Peter, please enlighten me with this score.
Scores are ridiculous.
The same as it was 3 minutes ago.
The Brian is the number one. All right, so the official score is 500,100 points for Allegra. Brian gets 101 points, and Peter has 500,100 points. That's it. That's the score.
All right, so
The scores are indicative of our overall failure.
there's a tie.
So it looks
There's
like-
a tie.
Yeah, me and Allegra tie.
No,
Woo!
no, you don't.
No.
You don't.
What? No. Uh-oh. What?
Nope. There is going to be a match-off. You have
No.
to match me, okay? I have
shit.
a word. I have a word written here. I'm going to give you the word, and you have to fill in the blank. You guys can keep shouting it out. Whoever gets it first wins, okay? I think no one gets to see this, right, because of the way we haven't fixed this, right? Or can you guys see this?
Change?
Change?
Change. So the word is change. So. Oh crap! I just did that wrong. I held up the wrong one. Okay, here's another word I'm gonna make up. It's
I think I read it. I think I read it before Pete, so I win,
Okay,
right?
All right. The word is bear. Okay, B-A-R-E. The first person to match the word that I have written down here wins.
Is it like next to bear?
Yes, bear blank. Fill in the blank. Bear blank.
Feet.
Back.
You win.
Oh,
All right, that's how we will solve.
damn.
ties and
I'm
issues.
so deeply ashamed of myself right now, but really pleased.
I'm proud. I've taught you well. Lego, congratulations. You're our big wiener. And I think now it is time for the news.
Oh, and Stephen, feel free to chime in on this. This is a conversation. And
Okay.
Alrighty.
And
So I
what?
got my list up. So, as some people know, director Josh Trank is no longer working on the other standalone Star Wars movie. People have speculated that he just walked out, but the new speculation is that he was fired because of his reputation on what he was doing while filming Fantastic Four and how pissed Fox is at him.
oh, well, what was he doing?
Okay, so apparently, it was about $100,000 in damages to a home the studio rented out to him. This is a young guy. This guy's like 31. This
Oh my
dude's
gosh.
a young director, and his first gig before Fantastic Four was Chronicle, that indie movie he did.
Which is pretty good.
So
That was good.
And
Hello?
he's there. He's
Oh,
there. Come on,
man.
come back to us, Brian.
Come back to us.
Force. Come back. Come back to us.
there we go.
There you go.
The network is real shitty today. Anyways, long story short, property damage, partying, showing up high on set.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So he's no
And they-
longer directing the movie.
They
What?
hired him to direct the new Star Wars?
They
Yeah.
were discussing it, but then when they heard what happened, they're like, "Oh hell no, get out of here."
Oh, good call. Good call.
Yeah.
And good call indeed, because there's been speculation that this standalone movie is a Boba Fett
Boba
movie.
Fett! What?
It's practically confirmed, according to the Wrap, that it is going to be about Boba Fett. And it looks like she's going to celebrate with... Oh, she's got a Boba Fett plush. There we go.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Let's see. Next bit of news. Actually, a lot of Star Wars
Hold
news.
on. Let's think about this. So he screwed up. What you're saying is he screwed up the
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four movie. What loser in our draft has the Oh, that's me. Lucky me.
Oh.
Anywho.
The trailer for Fantastic Four looked pretty good.
That's about the best part of it. Brian, moving
Yep.
on.
Okay, so Vanity Fair magazine actually came out with some photos of the new actors for The Force Awakens, and also confirming that Adam Driver is playing Kylo Ren, the villain for Episode 7. They actually have some photos of him. Unfortunately, I've been having issues pulling them up, but it's also been confirmed that Game of Thrones actress Gwendolyn Christie is playing the Chrome Stormtrooper Captain Phasma, who's basically
Dick, the knight. Dick.
Brienne of Tarth.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right.
So yeah, and basically it is pretty much confirmed that she's playing the Chrome Stormtrooper that is chasing Finn throughout this movie. And there's been some interesting speculation based on the trailer that, again, this is so up in the air, this could be potential spoilers. So, big ass spoiler warning. There's a good chance that the main character Finn might have discovered he has Force powers. That's why he's always in distress and always on the run.
Okay.
There's been speculation of that because Captain Phasma is specifically tasked to go after Finn, not only for defecting, but because she also works with the Inquisitors for the first one.
Oh, yeah.
What do you guys think of the name Captain Phasma? I mean, does that do anything?
Not the worst Star Wars name that there's ever been,
It's-
honestly.
It's a Star
I've heard worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there, Allegra.
Exactly. So,
Like, frankly, we should be glad that we just got like Phasma and not like Captain McScary Pants Jedi Hunter myth.
The best, the best Star Wars name I ever heard was one that my buddy Zach came up with. He had a character in one of the Star Wars games we played. His name was Edo. And I was like, that's the greatest Star Wars name ever.
Good Star Wars name.
that is not bad. So I got one last bit of news, because most of the Star Wars news is just photos showing the cast, Han Solo, and all these nice Vanity Fair pictures. So someone discovered this yesterday during a live podcast for Comics Explained. And it's been making headlines for Comic Book Resource and Cinema Blend and all those other places. Again, this is potential spoilers for Age of Ultron. But the alternate forms of the Infinity Stones seem to spell out Thanos. Think about it. You have the Tesseract for T. We haven't seen H. We have the Ether, which is spelled with an A, for the A. N is not known. O is the Orb in Guardians. And S is the Scepter.
Oh, okay,
So-
not bad.
That's
Not
right.
bad.
And people have been speculating that Marvel did this on purpose to kind of give us a guideline to guess where and when we're going to see the other two remaining Infinity Stones. Because they also recently, Kevin Feige commented on, well, wait a minute. Again, spoilers. Thanos decides to wield what he has for the Infinity Gauntlet. Says, oh, I guess I got to do it myself. And people were confused, like, how did he get that? Because in Thor, you actually see the Infinity Gauntlet in Odin's vault. Kevin Feige has practically come out and said there are 2 gauntlets. There are 6 stones, but 2 gloves.
Oh.
So,
Steven, did
I want to
Odin
use the
have-
stone now. I want the
Okay, you can have the
Gauntlet?
3.
Right.
Hmm?
Does Odin have an Infinity Gauntlet in your book, Steven? I mean, no.
There are no Infinity Gauntlets anywhere that I can recall.
No. Okay. Just making sure.
Oh, so you admit none that you can recall.
That's right. Sounds like a conspiracy, if you ask me.
I can neither confirm nor deny the existence of a conspiracy.
but what do you guys think? I mean, Phase 3 is just about to start. Starts next year.
I have no opinion because I was muting that conversation to avoid spoilers for a movie I haven't seen yet.
All right. Again,
Oh,
that's
My
why
only
I said
opinion
spoiler
is that
alert.
if they don't tentpole it properly with Doctor Strange, they're going to see a dip in their fortunes.
That's why I got my 2 cents on this. Here's my 2 cents. All right. For H and N. For H, I think it's going to be the Soul Gem, and it's going to be Adam Warlock, because he had one other alias besides Adam Warlock. He was only referred to as him.
Him.
Ah.
And he had great connections with the Soul Gem because of his dilemma. He was created. He was never born. He never understood the price and preciousness of life. So that could be one thing. And as for the N, I'm
Wait,
glad
wait,
you
wait.
mentioned.
So wait a minute. Does he go around saying, "Yo, I got connections with the Soul Gem"? No. Okay.
No.
No.
Good.
No, he doesn't.
No. But I'm glad that our guest mentioned Doctor Strange, because I also speculate that the N is for necklace. His necklace.
Oh yeah.
Doctor Strange's necklace. Because that necklace is one of his most powerful artifacts that he has. It's actually, I think, the most popular artifact he has in his possession.
Yeah.
And I think that necklace is the time gem.
Oh, could be.
So that's I kind of think that's what Marvel's doing, is kind of giving us a little map of where we're going to see the remaining and where it's all going to build up.
Awesome.
All right. That's
Interesting, interesting.
It's a little tchotchke-ish, but whatever. Okay.
Uh-huh.
It's
I like where you're going, there, Brian. Because I read something about that too.
Could be.
what are these two things? What could they be? And I like that hymn, man. You really did you connect those dots yourself? Did you?
I did a little digging.
Okay.
Trust me, I did a little digging. It took me a while, but I was like, "Ooh, I gotta." It's like this whole like you said, the crazy guy with the print boards and all this. I'm like, okay, there's this, and then there's this, and then there's this.
She's got like a bunch of playing cards and decks.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I'm marathoning Daredevil right now. So
Yeah, I'm on 7, so I saw Stick. That was the last one I saw.
Yeah, I just finished the series this past weekend.
You what? What's that?
I just finished watching Daredevil this past weekend.
The whole season.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, so good.
Hey, Brian.
So good.
I'd give it a solid B.
Brian, I finished.
What's up? You finished it?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Wow, without saying
Uh-huh.
because
man, you guys seem really smug about something.
It's so good!
All right.
Well, when I finished it.
I told my son to immediately call me after 11. He did. And it was like, he's like, oh my God, Dad, oh, holy S.
All right.
And then he proceeded to watch, while we were doing the podcast, he watched the next one, and he said, oh my God, not him too.
Okay, I'm done.
Stop.
News and all.
Yeah.
I like
All I
that.
have to say is just epic deaths. Like, no one is safe, just like Game of Thrones. That's all I
Hush,
I
hush.
don't know how long she'll last, okay? But the girl, I'm so happy that they brought her in from True Blood to see her again, Jessica. The girl who played
Deborah Ann Woll is her name.
Huh?
The actress's name is Deborah Ann Woll.
She's very pretty. I'll put it that way.
She's very pretty, but she looks and sounds way too much like Janelle Maloney as Donna Moss in The West Wing, and they got to do something about that. That's freaking me out.
Miss Ring, but yeah. So
maybe they'll
close
just
your
kill her.
eyes.
Anyways, folks. I'm done here.
It's so awesome. It's so awesome to be ahead of something that he's behind on. I just want to say that.
Don't get me started, because, dude, Marvel has said these Netflix shows are going to have a flavor to them.
Wow.
The next one, Jessica Jones, is supposed to be more of a noir. Supposedly, Luke Cage Power Man is like those classic Helen Harlem movies, and Iron Fist is like a 70s kung fu movie. So,
If they do Power Man and Iron Fist right, I will be happy as a clam. I have no hope that they will, but it would be awesome. And now that they've got the Punisher back, if they do the Punisher correctly,
that's right.
I can, die a happy man. But I don't think they're going to do that right either.
They got them. That's right. They got the movie rights to Ghost Rider, Blade, and the Punisher.
Punisher back,
Oh,
yeah.
Ghost Rider, Pete, that would be great, wouldn't it? Ghost Rider?
Well, wait a minute. Now that Marvel has it,
Why
maybe.
do they want Ghost Rider back?
Well, they need another massive
Mega popular once upon a
superhero.
time.
Yeah.
He did kill Thanos in one continuity
Hey,
with the penance stare.
I would give anything for them to have X-Men back, like so much.
But Fox is being stingy, so
Fox knows better than to let go of it. I mean,
they ain't stupid.
yeah, they got something there.
yeah. Unlike Fantastic Four.
Oh,
I'm still hopeful that movie will be adequate.
you never know. It might be okay.
Yeah. You know
Wow,
what?
now there's a ringing endorsement. That
Exactly.
movie will be adequate.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I'm
They
gonna
lost
be
me
the
after what they
minority
did to
here.
Doom.
I'm gonna be the minority here, but I was actually more excited about the Fantastic Four after seeing that trailer than about Ant-Man.
Oh, yeah. I'm on the fence about Ant-Man. Don't
I'll
know.
still see Ant-Man.
I mean,
now that we know what they're
Marvel.
going to do with it, now that we know what they're going to do with it, make him more of a comedy character, I'm like, okay. I'm sold.
I'm
Do it. I mean, the guy who did Anchorman is directing it, I believe. Reed. So,
Okay.
it's good. So we'll see.
We'll see. Okay.
Team Steam has Ant-Man, by the way. I just have the draft pulled up, which we'll review just in a minute. Just so somebody with a smug look on his face can have a smug look on his face.
All right, let's burn through the draft real quick and get out of here.
I'm gonna head out right now. Actually, best of luck with the draft, guys.
Night.
Steven, it was good seeing you. You take
Good to see
care.
you too. I will also depart since I don't think I need to be involved in this draft, do I?
We don't have horses in this race.
All right, Steven, thanks for joining us again.
All right,
Thanks for
guys.
being
Thanks
in.
very much. Anytime you'd like to have me back, I will be glad to show up again and participate in the hijinks.
And
Okay,
you want to
I
come
promise
back, if
I
you
will
have
not
something to push,
submit
you
you
let
to
us
Darth
know.
Picks again. I never do that twice to one person.
Take
He's
care,
never made
guys.
this promise to me.
Have fun.
All right,
All right,
thanks.
Steve. Take
Bye.
care.
Thanks, Steve.
Good to see you, Allegra. All right, hold on, you three. Hold on.
Okay.
I got this thing where I know how to do the thing now. Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Oh, that was
smug
so
boy.
badass. So badass. You've seen it, Brian, right?
Twice.
Okay, yeah.
I haven't seen it.
The best 15 minutes of the movie, right?
Here we go.
Or however long that is.
Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. Or my favorite. I'm sorry.
So, for anyone else who hasn't seen the movie yet, besides me, I don't know, maybe the one other person out there, which I will in the next day or two. I just didn't get a chance. Evidently, in the movie draft, there is one person who is in first place right now. The rest of us are tied for fifth place with no movies out. That person in first place is MythWit Brian. His one fucking movie.
What's sad is I didn't even want to put all my coins into this.
Yeah, well, you know what? Every quatlude is tied up in it, so you have 191,271,109 quatludes, or dollars per quatlude. Yes, you have. Well, your earnings are 100 per 100 quatludes. So you got that going for you.
Yeah.
So the rest of us have nothing.
Nothing. None of the other movies have come out yet?
No other movies have been updated yet. I think
Mad Max, I think, is next.
That's
Yep.
15.
Yep. So that's the movie draft, and
So you're going to be at the top for quite a while because Mad Max is not going to tumble you off of there. No chance. No chance in hell that's going to tumble you off there.
dude.
But whoever got Mad Max is going to make a pretty penny.
Yes.
I will guarantee that.
Who was that, Mike?
Mad Max.
Wasn't
'Cause
that?
I wanted it, but I let it go. I think, if I remember
Wasn't
correctly.
me. Is it Team Steam or Team Black?
I taught you how to pull it up.
Because
Team
the
Black.
thing is,
Team Black.
yeah,
Mad Max.
Paul. See,
Paul.
I wanted to put some money in Jurassic World, Ant-Man, and Mad Max. I wanted to do a nice three-way split, but no, I had to take Team Short Bus route because Paul made me, and I put all my money in Ultron. But you know what? Worth it. Worth it, motherfuckers.
Go to sleep.
Glad you're
Go to
not-
sleep.
There's no strings on me.
Glad you're not unbitter. All right. Well, I think that's basically it there, Peter. Anything else we need to
That's
talk about?
Yep, let's do it. Let's get out of here.
Let's shut her down. We are exactly at 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 16 seconds. So we might actually go like an exact 2-hour show. So Let me
Nice.
see if I can get this going here.
Don't forget you got to shut the YouTube off too when you're done.
Well, when I'm done, not now. Why are you going to tell me this now when I'm doing other things?
Right, yeah, go ahead. Good.
Why are you stupid? God. Okay. It's on you. I go to the closer, and I'm going to say this now. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
You've just enjoyed the MythWits. A special thank you goes out to our guest, Stephen S. Long, and check out his links below. Join us for a live broadcast next week and every week, Mondays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, so you can participate in the chat room. David needs company, damn it, he's all alone in there. And ask questions. If you miss our live show, you can always catch the encore episodes at mythwits.com and on our YouTube channel. Visit us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and iTunes. Make sure to do the like, follow, subscribe thing, and please give us a review on iTunes. Comments on MythWits is S2E17.com production and is non-commercial Node Radio's Creative Commons work. You can download and share it with whoever you like. Just don't change it and don't try to make any money with it. Make sure to check out, just like us, don't make any money with it. Make sure to check out Studio187.com for more cool stuff. And hey, we'll see you all next week.
Real soon. Bareback.